Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
We expect a big crowd here today. Can you all see my screen with my slide deck up there? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Good.
Are you going to put it in presenter mode or?
No, because I have several, I'm showing you where to find things, so I'll be flicking around. So that's
Okay.
why I made this so gigantic.
Okay. So it's all
And-
good.
And this is so teeny weeny. I do have canned screenshots that, like, if the whole network goes down, we don't get to talk because there's no more Zoom. But if their networks go down, I had screen captures just in case. So we have, I think there are 40 people registered for this class. So yeah, that's very exciting. I should have music to go on with this.
Either Wendell.
Hi, Flori.
Hello, Eve. Thank
Hi,
you for
Gloria, I
inviting
got
us.
your mail. Yeah.
This is exciting.
There are actually people coming from all over the country. We have people even from Georgia or Alabama and Washington, D.C. area and all kinds of places. So it's fun.
Excellent, excellent. Were you at Commissioner College a couple of weekends ago?
Not me, no.
Yeah, we presented something along the lines of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. So we will. See a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces for me too. And Trina, I told Jim I would come and visit you guys and run with you a session. So
That would be great. I would love to shadow.
yeah, we'll do that.
Cool.
There's Mr. John Day. Hi, John.
Hi, Eve.
We will wait maybe 2 minutes from Coastal Georgia Council. Hi, Ian. If you want to, you all can put in your, or as we'd say in Georgia or Texas, we'd say, y'all can go ahead and put in where you're from if you want to. Oh, your son's a, so you're Lisa, not Ian. Mhm. Mhm. That's good. Thanks to everybody who has their screen on. That's good practice because as you'll learn as we go through this, when we teach this merit badge, we must have our screens on, our cameras on. So that's a good practice to join in. Great. We have 20 participants so far. You guys are doing great. While we're, this training is going to be 50 minutes, 50, because you have another class at 7 o'clock our time, right? So that's what our plan is, to be in and out in 50 minutes. There's a lot to cover. And understand, JP. Good thing you're not teaching a merit badge from work, huh? And since you all know where your reactions are, can you put your hand up if you have taken the DEI training that was sent out. Yeah, either a real hand or your reaction hand. Yay. That looks like a lot. That's great. Okay, good job, you guys. Thank you. How many? We are at 26. Oh, a few more. Thanks to everybody for joining. We'll give it one more minute. I know sometimes classes, has anybody been taking classes already this week? It's already to Wednesday. Anybody take another virtual? Put in your chat what you took. What other classes you took? And did anybody attend University of Scouting on Saturday in person? I saw training, yeah. Miranda, great. There's enough for that. That's good. Yay. Camping locations, nice. I hope they've been good. Okay, we're up to 30. This is great.
A big class.
An advancement. Yay. Oh, in Alabama, you had your own University of Scouting. That's great. Last Saturday. And I think Golden Gate Area Council also had theirs last week.
Yeah.
Nice. You guys are getting so educated. Well, why don't we get started? Because otherwise we don't want to run out of time and we don't want to have where you don't get a chance to ask questions too. Paul, do you have a question? Your hand is up. Maybe it's left over. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining. This is our journey. We're going to citizenship in society, how to become a merit badge counselor. Notice how I didn't say this is how to teach merit badge, because this is not a merit badge that's taught. We really facilitate. My name is Eve Brassfield. I'm a Silicon Valley Monterey Bay Council. I'm the training chair for the council, and I have a few other roles. Also, I'm still with my home unit, a troop. And Wendell Baker.
Hi, I'm Wendell. I'm with the Golden Gate Area Council, and I do stuff with Scouts for Equality and lots of other stuff.
Yeah, so let's get started and we'll start right in with what we're going to do today. Can you all see my screen? Yeah. Okay, great. So we're going to go through some deadlines and facts just so that you know when is this really required, how many merit badges, all that kind of thing. We're going to show you where to find the content because the content is out there. I don't have to send it to you. You're going to touch a button and you'll be able to find it yourself. So this is the best part of it. And then we'll talk about the counselor role, your role as a merit badge counselor. We'll also talk about, we'll go through the actual slide deck from National, because that's what we have to use. And we'll go through the 11 requirements as long as we can keep going. Sound good from everybody? Good. On dates, it started being available November 1st, and anybody who is completing their Eagle rank starting on July 1st has to have this merit badge. So if the Eagle rank requirements are completed by June 30th, they're good. The Eagle rank requirement means that they've completed their requirements and have their Scoutmaster Conference signature done. It does not include the Board of Review, because the Scout cannot control the Board of Review. So there was some confusion about that. All good for that? And if you have questions, please put them in the chat or put up a reaction hand or something for us. The total number of Eagle merit badges does not change. We still only have 21 total required that the Scout has to finish. And 14 of those are now specified, and this is one of those specified merit badges. And then there are 7, up to 7, and even beyond, you know, that the Scout can get of optional ones. There's no merit badge pamphlet. You'll see a document that kind of looks like that, but there's nothing in it except for the requirements. And we're gonna go through those documents. We do not teach. This is not like coin collecting, and this is the heads or tails and obverse and reverse of a coin. This is a journey that the Scouts will take, and we facilitate that. So now I'm gonna flick over and I'm gonna show you where to find everything. If you were to go to scouting.org, this is the top of the heap, right? And you come over to the right-hand side, this little menu that's up here in the top right-hand corner, and you touch that, then here comes all this good stuff. Go to Scouting Resources and Merit Badges. And you touch Merit Badges. And here's all the merit badges that we do in BSA, listed, listed, listed. And it's alphabetical, and looky here. Here is Citizenship in the Society. And you'll see it has a counselor button and it has a Scouts button. If I touch the Scouts button, it flicks you over straight into the Citizenship in the Society, not the pamphlet, but the requirements. And this has a little section about overview for Scouts, instructions for Scouts, and then it goes into the requirements. Now, when I go back over to the counselor end, and I touch that, it looks kind of like the exact same thing, doesn't it? Except for that second page says now Merit Badge Counselor Guidelines, and it goes through information, including some of the definitions, since the definitions are the first things they have to do. And then it even includes the overview for Scouts page and the instructions for Scouts page, and then it goes into the same requirements. And what I do is I actually have printed out both of those things, and I have my one, it's the same thing, exactly the same thing. And because the title page there, since the title page looks exactly the same, I wrote up here for myself, oh, this is my counselor version, and this one is my Scout version, because you're going to want to take these when you go to your troop meeting or when you're meeting with the Scouts or something like that. And if you don't have internet, then you need to have the documents. So that is, to me, was super duper helpful. So that's that. Another way you can go, and for you and the other councils, I haven't explored all of your council web pages, but if you go to Silicon Valley Monterey Bay.org, which Bay Council, SVMBC, and come on over here to the search key, the search bar. And if you type in Citizenship and Society, you can tell I've done this 300 times. And now you go to search results. Here we go. Let's go to learn more. And this is my favorite page where all the good stuff is. So here's description of more of what it is, when it started, when it has to be done. And there is a delightful and wonderful and very inviting, I think, video. It's a 3-minute video. So go ahead. This is for Scouts. This is for counselors. This is for parents. This is for everybody. Then, as I scroll down, on the left side is the overview and requirements. And if I touch this, see requirements, hey, look what comes up. It's that same document. It's the Scout version, overview for Scouts. Pretty neato, huh? And if I come over to this right-hand side, this is where all of our stuff as merit badge counselors sits. If you have not done the DEI volunteer training, if you touch this link here and click to it, it's going to take you right over to your, see, because we've been a minute here, but it'll take you right into, come on, baby. It'll take you right to this page. You've seen this where you go and start YPT. You can touch that and you can get to it. Or if you go into the other myscouting.org, you might see it like this. But what you're looking for is this diversity, equity, and inclusion scouting volunteer training with the hands. Now you know you're in the right place. Then I can go and see a counselor orientation video, and I'm not going to click it because we don't have the 5 minutes, and it's all of 5 minutes long. So it's not super long, but it's a 5-minute orientation for the counselor. So you can go and watch that. Then there's a PowerPoint slide deck. And if I touch this, it's going to take me, well, I can do it right now. Well, let me do this one. This is easier. Counselor guidelines. Guess what that's going to be? Oh, it's the same thing again. Right? So you can get to this one several different places. And you're going to be using that. And if I go to the counselor guide PowerPoint, this is what you are going to use, and this is where you get it. And this, and don't be frightened because it's 42 pages long, but you don't go through all 42 pages because there's a bunch in there that has the, not answers, but how we guide the scouts through the merit badge. And what I've done for myself again is I printed this thing out. And now I have that. So when I go sit with the scouts, I have my requirements are in there. We're going to talk about ground rules and stuff that we use when we meet with the scouts, that kind of thing. It is a good thing to have this because you don't want the scouts to have this because we don't give them examples. They give us examples. So that's pretty good. So now you know where to get all this good stuff. It's all right here, SVMBC or wherever. So these were just screen captures in case it died. Right? So the first thing you want to do is you're going to take your DEI training, look at the orientation video, that 3-minute video, look at the 5-minute video for counselors, download the PowerPoint merit badge counselor guide, and download these guys. National recommends that you only do this with groups of 3 to 5 scouts. This is not done as a patrol. If the patrol is 8 scouts, that's too big. It's not done as a troop. It's not done at summer camp. It's never done at a merit badge midway. It's not going to be done at National Jamboree. This is a small discussion kind of merit badge where all the scouts, everybody's on their own journey in this subject. So they're very clear about that.
Okay.
So now let's go some background.
Okay, some background. This merit badge encourages scouts to explore important topics around diversity, equity, inclusion, ethical leadership. And it complements a lot of our existing merit badges, American culture, citizenship in the community, disability awareness, American heritage, even family life. So it's building on that. What qualifications should the citizenship in society merit badge counselor have? Well, we're going to go through some of those right now. The intent is for counselors not to counsel, but to facilitate. Scouts are going to be on a journey of self-discovery. We're going to facilitate that journey. It's different than all the other merit badges, which is why we're doing this class. Counselors should not advocate for a particular point of view. It's up to the scouts to bring up subjects. It's up to you to lead them on their own journeys. Counselors also have to abide by the YPT, of course, and the code of conduct. You have to be registered as a merit badge counselor. You need to, like all merit badge counselors, you need to be familiar with the requirements. You need to do the DEI volunteer training we talked about. You're not an expert, you're just a facilitator. Some of these topics might be sensitive to certain families, and you need to discuss them with parents before. There's a method for doing that. The scouts are going to discover answers through research and exploration. They're going to do their own research, and you should avoid adding your own opinions. Okay, we're going to do some definitions that we should know. First of all, a safe environment. It's imperative that you ensure a safe environment where scouts are comfortable to discuss these kinds of topics. The Scout Oath and Law are appropriate boundaries to use in these discussions, and your skills as a counselor should demonstrate inclusive leadership and how to value everyone's thoughts and opinions. A safe environment must be free from harassment and bullying. This is true of all scouting events, but it has a different definition. A safe space was defined many years ago by Glesson, and a safe space is designed as a safe space. It's a supportive and affirming environment for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, transgender, and queer people. While we can never ensure that any space is going to be safe and affirming 100% of the time, a safe space is a place, group, or community that is intentionally working to affirm LGBTQ people. This is the definition that in Northern California, the kids are going to have of a safe space. You do not have to provide a safe space. That is not a requirement. But if you're not comfortable being a safe space, just please don't use this nomenclature. We don't want to mislead the kids into thinking that they can bring up topics that you're not prepared to deal with and you don't want to deal with. So the big important thing here is to know the difference between the two and not use safe space unless you're going to be a safe space. About confidentiality. We all work with scouts. We know they can be unpredictable. It's better to be honest about the risks involved. So what we came up in the Golden Gate Area Council was a sample disclaimer. Flory, would you like to read this?
Sure. So our disclaimer said, we will be discussing subjects that may be sensitive and discomforting. It's possible that some personal information may be shared by members of the group. And you know, kids are going to do that. It's important for you to know that you are encouraged to talk to your parents or guardians about what we discuss. But I ask that you try not disclose personal details or identities about yourself. Please keep in mind that some items you disclose in the meetings may not be kept confidential. It's also important that you know that if I believe you may be in danger or are a danger to others, that I will have to seek professional help.
Thanks, Flory. So we're suggesting that you read this disclaimer or some other disclaimer to the scouts before each meeting, something similar to this, but something so that somebody doesn't, one of the scouts doesn't reveal something that could get them into trouble if it got back to their parents.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
So we've talked about where to get more information. Remember when I was back on this page, the general big, the big scouting.org, at the bottom, there's a whole section also about diversity, equity, inclusion. And so you can also explore there. They have a lot of it in there. Here, and there's a whole section on that. Okie dokie. So now let's go into the PowerPoint presentation, because this is the meat of it all. So this is the presentation that you can download yourself, and this is what you're going to use as you go through the merit badge. The agenda for this slide deck, and we won't cover all of it. Again, I think almost everybody has taken the DEI training, right? So a lot of this is covered in that training. So that's why it's so mandatory. So review the mission and vision of the DEI policy, look at the goals of the badge, where to begin. We're gonna really focus here on this merit badge requirements section. And then we'll talk about what other resources are available. One second. You can all take time to read through the DEI vision and mission, and it was also in your training, so you'll get through that. Why did we do this merit badge? We know that as scouts learn about how everybody has a different perspective, they're going to be able to respect others, They're gonna make an inclusive and welcoming culture of belonging. This is all part of scouting, being kind and courteous and helpful and everything. So you can go more into the goals of the badge too. We talked about this. You've got your merit badge counselor guidelines and you've got these documents, right? That's what these are all about. Do the training. We are a facilitator. Be friendly and reach out to your national service territory rep. If you are in Silicon Valley, Monterey Bay, or if you're in Golden Gate Area Council, we're all in service territory 3. Alabama, I don't know which territory you're in, but others, you probably know which service territory you're in. And if you don't know, just ask somebody from your council, they'll be able to help you.
Okay, so actually starting out doing this, the very first thing you should do is host a meeting with the parents. It can be just with the parents or it can be with the parents and the scouts. We want to with them, you want to discuss the objectives of the merit badge and the fact that this is a unique format, that they're going to have to help their scouts go on this journey and do the research. You can go through the requirements using examples to engage and understand how the requirements will help facilitate. And then you can answer any questions that the parents might have. So this is a good start. You're working with the families. The families have to work with the scouts. So hopefully they'll come to this. It's not a required meeting because we can't require parents to do things. How will the scout learn? Okay, the scout's going to complete all the requirements. They're going to do research. They're going to explore resources. Some of the requirements are going to require them to reach out to other youth and members of society. They're of course going to be dealing with you. They're going to figure out what they can do to increase inclusivity and to be an upstander. Each scout journey is going to be unique. The scout's responsible for their own research. It's not prescriptive. The counselors, we're not the experts of the teacher. We're just going to ask leading questions. We're going to do a lot of active listening, and we're going to encourage the scouts to help them on this learning journey. There are 2 different ways you can participate in this. There's an individual study where meetings must abide by youth protection guidelines. So you're going to need a merit badge counselor, another adult, and a scout, probably a parent. And that's one way to do that. That's not the preferred way to do it. The preferred way to do it is a small group studies of 3 to 5 scouts within 2 years of age and nationals within the same unit. Agree on timing for meetings and goals. So the complicated part of this is it's going to be a multi-meeting type thing. So there's going to be like 4 to 8 meetings of maybe an hour to an hour and a half. And you're going to have to set a time when everybody's going to be available for every meeting. So like everything in scouting, scheduling might be a challenge.
And that's why small groups help.
Yeah, small
It's
groups
easier
are
to
easier to
get 4
schedule.
people. 4 people is really easy to get pulled together. You just can't do it. And the within 2 years of age is very important because their maturity should be kind of similar. It makes a difference.
Yeah, you get better discussions.
7 is too many. You'll find out it's too hard to get them all to participate. So it's good. You can break it up into a group of 3 and 4 group sets, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, whether you're going to do how you're going to do the meetings, you're going to have to work out with the scouts. It's going to be multiple meetings. 1 month is estimated as the average time. I think Eve found 6 weeks also, between a month and 6 weeks kind of worked. The conversations are valuable, so you want to have the conversations. That's the meat of this whole thing. You can do these in person or in Zoom. If it's in Zoom, all participants have to have their camera on, and that includes any adults who are the second adult monitoring the meeting. Be sure to abide by youth protection guidelines, which is the second adult. Ensure conversations are age appropriate for participants, and that'll have to do with the age group you're actually working with. Okay, really important is to establish ground rules with the scouts. This is a safe environment. We talked about what a safe environment was. We value everyone's thoughts and opinions. We treat each other with respect. It's critical that everyone be on time for all meetings. That's actually a sign of respect, and it's also going to allow the meetings to progress. Everything discussed during the sessions is confidential. We talked about confidentiality. we don't want to guarantee that it's going to be confidential, but we are going to ask the scouts to share the lessons and not the details. There are no stupid questions. Share the air. Everybody gets a chance. Use I statements like don't make statements like blue jeans are bad. Make a statement like I think blue jeans are inappropriate with your uniform or something like that. Own your opinions. Don't just state them. In the requirements, document can mean write or record. It's not like they have to turn something in. So when it says document, they're going to demonstrate that to you by discussing it in the meeting.
Actually, and before you go, Richard is asking if there's a recommended age or rank that this merit badge is best suited for. I'm on my second group. I did one group with 4 scouts that were 16 and 17. They did amazing. I mean, they were fantastic and found all kinds of examples and did the requirements great. Then I'm working with another group that's like 11 and 12-year-olds. I don't know that they're getting it, but it's better than not having anything. I think if a scout can wait a little, you can tell by their maturity, but everybody has to participate. So this isn't going to be one, again, like with heads or tails. When I say what's the flip side and I say it's reverse, everybody doesn't write reverse down for their answer on the tails of a coin. Everybody has to come up with their own answers. And sometimes the younger guys, it seems like, or the younger gals, they're not coming up with it. But when you get started in the conversation, then they start coming through with stuff. So National's not giving us a recommendation, but just from my experience, a little bit more mature helps. Sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at in Golden Gate Area Council. We're recommending it to be maybe the last citizenship badge as a recommendation, not a requirement. So we're going to tell the scouts to share their ideas and experience with others, even if you feel your ideas are different. So we're going to encourage them to be open to listen versus learn and respond, be sincere and authentic, be accountable, understand and accept responsibility for your words and actions, be on time. Again, it's a sign of respect and allows the meetings to move forward. Be present, focused, and engaged. You need to eliminate distractions. You need to be paying attention to this. You can't be on your phone trying to figure out what the answer you're going to give is. You need to be engaged in watching what's going on with your peers. So do not be distracted. There's no being on your phone and doing other things. Don't interrupt. If someone is speaking, let them finish. So regardless of the time, if kids are into this and they're interested and they're talking about it, let them finish. No holding sidebar conversations, and you may have to explain what a sidebar conversation is. That they're engaged in this. They're not talking to each other. They're not texting each other. They're paying attention. Don't be judgmental, and don't share other experiences with others outside the group. Again, share the lessons, not the details.
Thank you. So we're going to go through the requirements, and I was looking at my little chart of when I did my merit badge with the scouts and with the 4 scouts in my troop. And what we do is we had one initial meeting where I went through exactly, I just took some time. We met for maybe, I don't know, an hour, not even an hour, maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes just to kind of get going. But I went through, and I don't hand them, because I printed out this page, these documents. I went to page 9 and I talked through, and I did it on Zoom. And again, I had to make sure that one of them was bringing a parent along. So parents, their cameras on, every scout has their camera on. And I went through this page where I just read it. I didn't show it to them. They don't need to see it up on the screen, but I read it through them with them. And then we went through this as far as the ground rules. Then what we did is, because I had told them to download the requirements, what we did is I had them each take turns reading through all the requirements, because I usually do that with any merit badge anyway, so that they kind of know the runway we're on and where we're headed with this stuff. So that's what I would recommend to start. Now, this group that I had this first group of scouts, because they were older, they were pretty enthusiastic about getting going. So after our intro day, they decided the next time what they were gonna study, and we did requirements 1 through 3 in one day, but they all come prepared, because we can't have kids researching stuff while another scout is talking. So this is all of what we've already been talking about, that our job is make sure everybody feel that they belong and that we're understanding different identities. All of this, keep the scout oath and law in mind when they give their answers. Have them give examples, because we all learn by experience, right? Number one requirement in the whole deal, and I don't know if any of you have already downloaded the requirements, the very first thing, and it says these words: before beginning work on other requirements for the badge, research the following words to learn their meaning and explain to your merit badge how you feel they relate to the Scout oath and law. This is the first thing we do. Gets everybody on the same page as far as language. And there are 8 words that they'll define here. And what we did is we said, what does identities mean? And Scout 1 gave me his answer, then Scout 2 gives me his answer, then Scout 3 gives me his answer, and Scout 4 gave me his answer. And then we talked about it. Did we miss anything? And identities is interesting, because if they just do a Google, it says something like identity identifies and makes you who you are. I mean, that it's so general. It's kind of, yeah, the sky is because it's in the air, kind of a thing. But then when I asked them, well, can you give me examples of identities? And then they started thinking, oh, you mean like my national background, or where I live, or my religion, and they started coming up with all the right answers, because they had studied and understood that all these characteristics. They talked about mental or physical abilities, emotional abilities, languages, all kinds of stuff. And we got them. You think everybody wears the same or shops at the same clothing store? Do you have anybody at your school that wears Dolce & Gabbana and Yves Saint Laurent and Chanel, and some that wear Target? And some people said, oh yeah, you mean like financial, finances and stuff. Yes, socioeconomic is an identity. These are important things for them to be aware of. So we don't tell them the answers, but keep going around and they'll feed off each other. And that's why we need everybody to take time. That's why this takes a little time, because everybody's going to be in the discussion. At least the scouts will be. Diversity is the presence of an incredible range of individual identities. Diversity is a group. Look at our screen. This is a pretty diverse group. But I don't say I'm diversity, right? I'm not a diverse candidate because I'm one person. But if I was the only female in a group of males, then now we have a little bit of diversity on gender or something like that. So know that diversity has to do with groups of people. Equality, and they need to be able to define the difference between equality and equity. And equality, the state of being equal. This is what they're going to come with. Everybody gets the same thing. We're all going to be watching this view over a fence, and everybody's going to get a milk crate so that they can look over the fence. But maybe somebody's tall and somebody's not so tall, and maybe somebody even uses a wheelchair. The crate won't get everybody to be able to see over the fence, but it's equal. Equity makes sure that we can provide individuals with the resources they need to access the same opportunities. So I might get different size milk crates or put up a ramp to be able to see the fence. So let them understand the difference between equity and equality, and they will figure it out. And if they say the same thing, and again, have every single scout in your group, that's why a group of 7 is too many. You're just going to take you forever to get around the horn, and go around. So a small group, and they will help each other with these things. Inclusion, the action or state of being included or including others. And it's really including even in a genuine sense of participation or sense of belonging. So this might be, and they'll want to say examples like being included in where do we go camping? What are we going to prepare for food? Are we all going on the big hike, the little hike, whatever? Discrimination, active making unjustified distinctions between human beings based on diversity, be it groups, class, categories to which they perceive. So they will give you what their definition, and people may be discriminated against on the basis of all these characteristics. And they came up with even others. It was fantastic. Then they're going to have to define ethical leadership. So ask them, what does ethical mean? And they'll say something, having good morals or being kind and doing the right thing and being fair and just is the answer, right? That we're kind of going to, is it fair? And ask them what leadership means. And some of them might say, well, it's the guy who tells everybody else what to do. Or it's the scout, who the boss of all of us. But sometimes they'll say, well, it's the scout who makes a good example and lets everybody follow. And it might be the scout who guides us all toward a common goal. And it was really cool. And that might be the third or fourth scout that says something like that, but they really build on each other. It's cool. And then what is ethical leadership? Because they're going to have to think of somebody who's shown ethical leadership. And then upstander compared to like being a bystander. So it's somebody who steps up and does the right thing at the right time. And a lot of them talked about bullying and standing up to a bully and telling the bully that more, or helping the person who's victim of bullying to kind of help them. I let them talk about what this means before we go to the next requirement. I always also end this with, if you feel at any time that as you're being an upstander, or you want to be an upstander, that you feel that you are going to be in harm's way or not safe in any way, step away and get a trusted adult to come help you, because who knows what bullies might do, or people who are scary and frightening and hurting other people, right? So make sure that they know that they have a safe way to get away from there. Number 2, so that's the first thing we do. And that takes a while to go through all those definitions, because every single scout will give you the definition. If Karen gives me one definition, Paul gives me another, that doesn't do it. Everybody gets to do the same. Number 2, document and discuss with your counselor what leadership means to you and what you think it means to make ethical decisions. So this builds off of our definitions we had. And they say, research and share with your counselor an individual you feel that's demonstrated positive leadership while having to make an ethical decision. It could be somebody in history or somebody they know, a family member, a teacher, a coach, counselor, clergy member, scoutmaster. And we want them to explain what decision or options the leader had and why they chose their final course of action and the outcome. And when I work with these scouts, some of them, one of them actually knew somebody who had made an ethical decision, and they were able to explain it. And then others also took people in history. And then more on ethical decision making. And this one, we can't shortcut it. It's think about a time when you faced an ethical decision. What was the situation? What did you do? How did it make you feel? Would you do anything different in the future? And they all gave great examples, and they were not all the same examples. It was amazing. And then list 3 examples of ethical decisions you might have to make at school, home, and workplace, or in community. And so Scout 1 will give 1 example. Scout 2 will give 1 example. Scout 3 example. Scout 4 does an example. Then Scout 1, give me a second example. Everybody has to give 3 examples. It's what the requirement is. Then, sorry. Oh, well, that was a twirl. Hold on. I had a runaway mouse. Okay. So then here, 4.
Okay, requirement number 4, that's back to me. Repeat the scout oath and scout law for your counselor. They should nail that one. Choose 2 of the following scenarios and discuss with your counselor what you would do as a scout to demonstrate leadership and your understanding of what it means to help others who may seem different from you. And they give some scenarios and you can read those. And each scout has to do 2 of the scenarios. You're going to go through a lot of them. After the scouts identify what they could do, ask them to act it out. And we're all scouters. Acting it out means skits. Well, you're not going to do a skit in here, but this is wonderful. This is the sort of thing we should be doing with our troops. We should be doing scenarios like this outside this merit badge and having them do skits. We should be teaching them to be upstanders from the first day they enter scouting. This is beyond just this merit badge. This is how our programs should be. I'm so excited about being upstanders and teaching kids to be upstanders. We can even teach Cub Scouts to be upstanders. Requirement number 5 is creating a welcoming environment. I teach a class on creating welcoming environments. Document and discuss with your counselors ideas on what you personally can do to create a welcoming environment in your scouting unit. An experience you had where you went out of your way to include another scout and what you did to make them feel included and welcome. Things you can do to help ensure that all scouts in your unit are given an opportunity to be heard and included in decision-making and planning. Getting them to think about these, getting them to all discuss these is just so wonderful. Also, as a merit badge counselor, share what you find out with other merit badge counselors, because we can use this information to make our program better. And requirement number 6, exploring identities. With your parents' or guardians' approval, connect with another scout or youth your own age who has an identity that's different from yours. That means a trait, belief, or characteristic different from you. Share with each other what it makes the different aspect of your identity meaningful, special to each of you. Share with each other one of the following: a time you felt excluded from a group, what the situation was and how it made you feel. What did you do? Did anyone stand up for you? What did you learn? And would you do anything different today? Then there's an imaginary situation. You're attending a new school and you don't know anyone there yet. You notice they dress very differently than you do. At lunchtime, you decide you'll try to sit with a group and get to know other students. People at 2 tables tell you there's somebody sitting at the current empty seat, so you end up eating alone. How did that make you feel? What could the students have done? If this has happened at your school, what would you do? Discuss with your counselor what you learned from these discussions with other scouts or youth. Just getting them to think about these things and to be prepared and to be willing to step up at school is going to be wonderful for them. It's going to be wonderful for scouts. It's going to be wonderful for the schools. These are just wonderful requirements.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. And actually, somebody asked about what kinds of ethical decisions came up with the first group. There were bullies when people were being bullied. There were some people that they had a foreign exchange student that came and people were making fun of that person's accent and their clothes and how they ate stuff. So they came with all kinds of stuff. Does that help, Karen? Requirement 7. So with 6 and 7, we did that at a separate session because they have to go prepare and actually go talk to people outside. It's not just them doing their own research. So identify and interview somebody in their school and talk about who's had a significant and positive impact on promoting diversity, equity, inclusion. It would be great if they can find somebody in their own community, but if they don't have an individual, they can research a historical figure. It would be great if they could find somebody within. Discover what inspired them, learn about the challenges, discuss with your counselor how you apply it. Then with the help, number 8 is with the help of a parent or guardian, study an event that had a positive outcome, how society viewed somebody, and have them think about this. You don't give them these examples, because if you give them these examples, then they can't use those examples. So make sure that they're telling you their answers. But if they really get stumped, maybe you poke them with something and tell them to think of something else. Then discuss 3 or more areas in your life outside of scouting where you feel you can actively provide stronger leadership in making others feel included. Practice active listening, creating an environment where others feel comfortable to share their ideas and perspectives, helping others feel valued for the input and suggest standing up for others. This is kind of confusing because in this slide deck, it says, the requirement says 3 or more areas outside of scouting. And then the example is scouting. So I talked to the national guys who had been working on this, or at least the one person who I knew at National who was on the DEI team. And they said that they made this example just if they get confused and don't know what to do, we can give them an example of, by the way, let's pretend you're responsible for your patrols menu on the next camp out. How would you go about making sure everybody has something to eat? That's an example in scouting. Now you give me an example outside of scouting. So again, they will give you an area, one scout goes around, then the next, then with all the other scouts, do the second. Make sure that they are giving 3 areas. It is the requirement that they all have to give 3. Number 10, discuss with your counselor how stereotyping can be harmful, how it can lead to prejudice, discrimination. Share these ideas you have for challenging stereotypes and celebrating individual traits and characteristics. We don't ever have to give an example. But if they get completely, and they're doing this in advance, you're telling them, we're meeting today. Okay, scouts, when do you want to meet next? Can we meet next week again? Yeah. Which requirements do you want to work on? Let's do 9, 10, and 11. Okay, then you guys come prepared, or you gals come prepared with your requirements all done. And they all did, because we are not teaching and they're not coming up with this out of their head. We want them to think about it. So here's a good example of, oh, we're in a hockey league, and that scout, her parents are from Canada, and why isn't she any better at the sport? There are all kinds of stereotypes around that, hey, say that certain individuals, because of their characteristics, should be really good at something or should not be really good at something. And maybe they're completely opposite. So that's what stereotyping is all about. The last requirement, you know how almost every requirement merit badge ends up with the, if you wanted to go into this field, what's the education you would go to get? In that kind of spirit of, how do I continue this in my life? Scouting strives to develop young people to be future leaders in their workplaces, schools, community. As you look at your current involvement in school, family, scouting, job, or community, think how you could make an impact in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Consider your future in those areas. Then do the following. Describe how would you support others with different identities to feel included and heard in daily conversations. Explain how diverse thoughts and opinions from others can make your interactions more positive and how it can benefit by considering different opinions. Give 3 examples. How many examples does each scout give? 3. Exactly. And each one comes up with their own. And they all came up with different examples. It was fantastic. How considering diverse opinions can lead to innovation and success, and 3 examples how limiting diverse could be harmful. This is the whole, that's all the requirements. The rest of this document has the DEI. Ours is Sanjita Gupta from Service Territory 3. The videos that we've already talked about. We've talked about almost all of this stuff, but you can read through it. This is the FAQs and the fact sheet, you know, how many do you do, who designed the patch, that kind of thing. And then there are resources here that if you or scouts, there are videos that you could find, and if the scouts want more information, they can get to these resources. They're suitable for them. And then there's just more examples of, remember when we say, what would you do in this kind of a situation to be more inclusive in that? And that is pretty much, that's how you do it. It's a lot to cover in a short amount of time that we had here. But what I'm hoping is that at least you have all the information now. You know where to find these. You can find them either in the regular BSA or in the SVMBC area. print yourself out the 2 documents, print out the slide deck so that you have your ground rules and you're ready to go. Keep the group small. We had one group, another merit badge counselor, he was thinking he would have a group of 8 and it just got too big because you have to wait for 8 people to talk. So we just split up. And so we were all in the front yard. So he had a group of 4, and I took a group of 4 and it worked way better. The smaller group just works better. What questions do you have now before we jump?
Is this going to be like, I know swimming, hiking, and cycling are like 3 merit badge. You pick one or the other. It's just a mandatory merit badge.
This is mandatory, yeah.
Okay.
Like how you have to do citizenship in the nation, the world, and the community, and now in society.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I know, I haven't heard anything that it's part of a group. That's a good question. And what other questions do you have? Was this helpful? Oh, Karen, yeah, go ahead. Okay. I know it was quick, but was it helpful at least so you can find this stuff?
Yes.
And then practice and take the training if you haven't done it. In some councils, they're making it mandatory that you have to interview or at least talk with the council. Oh, make sure that you do tell our advancement, our merit badge advancement chair that you want to do this merit badge. You know how we always list the merit badges that we as a merit badge counselor are going to do counseling for. So make sure you send that in so that they know if you're going to do this one. Anything else you can all think of?
I have a question.
Yeah.
In case you are teaching or counseling your own kid, like your own son, is there any, things to take in consideration?
Yeah, I would probably think maybe find somebody else. I mean, because I was a merit badge counselor and my son was in it. Hopefully you have more than one merit badge counselor in your troop and it would be good. But if you have to still be a facilitator and your scout has to come up with the answers. And you don't have him or her do the answers with you before, unless you want to do it, it's okay to talk with your scout as a parent too. Just like any parent would talk about any of this stuff. I just think it's hard to parent. I'm sorry, it's hard to be a merit badge counselor for your own child in anything.
So you completely don't recommend it?
Well, I think it all depends. I don't know what your relationship is and how you guys manage. I've seen parents and kids relate great and they're exemplary for others, and then others it's not so good. So I don't know what your thing is. But they'll get something out of it having somebody else be their parent, their adult.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hi, quick question. Is the BSA have any guideline to say like how many meeting or hosting for how many hours to go through all the requirement, or because you say one class you can go through 3?
They suggest, what did they say, about a month and a half, and that's if you're probably meeting every week. And so I did 1, 2, I think I did this in 5 sessions. And one of the sessions was about an hour and a half and the rest were an hour. And these scouts were really prepared. There was none of this looking up anything. They came with their stuff ready. Karen Ellis?
My question is, we are limited to the number of merit badges we can be a counselor for. I think it's 12 or 13 topics. I'm already maxed out because we're a small troop. Is this one where we have to be specifically listed as a merit badge counselor for citizenship and society?
I think you should ask are you in Silicon Valley, Monterey Bay?
No, we're actually Pacific Skyline.
Okay, so I think you should contact your advancement person because I don't know. That's not a national thing. I don't know what that different councils have different rules. So you should talk to your advancement person and whoever is managing your merit badges. And what you might do, I don't know if you're already maxed out at 12 or 13, whatever the number is, are they all Eagle required or some of them the fun ones? So you might choose to drop one if, for now to get going, or find more merit badge counselors.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Especially because this has to be done in small groups. And that's what I've gone to my troop and asked parents, if you hadn't been a merit badge counselor yet, step up, let's do it, because we're going to have to handle all these kids through here. So let's go. Yeah. And somebody said, yeah, it might be, a parent might not want to share if a scout might not want to share if their parent is the merit badge counselor.
Mhm.
So it's something to think about. That's a good point, Trina. Yeah. Other good questions? You guys are asking very good questions. Yes, George?
I want to know what your thoughts are on, my troop, we often teach a lot of merit badges during the weekly meetings, and it can be kind of hectic. It's a big troop and we break into smaller groups, but we don't always have our own space even. Do you think this is one that should really be separate outside of meeting time because of the small group nature? Or do you think we could do it during a meeting?
They're very specific. You cannot do this with the whole troop.
Well, I know that, but I'm.
Oh, you mean have it in a separate room?
I'm talking take 5,
Oh, I think you could.
we get 30 kids meeting, but
Yeah.
we take 5 of them out to a corner of the room and try to do it with that group. You think that would work?
I don't know if in the corner of the room, it's going to be hard if it's super noisy, because some of these things, they might be sensitive and it's hard. And, let me tell you, every human feels that they've been picked on for whatever, even the popular kid, and kids feel that they have all kinds of bullying victim, that they've been the subject of bullying. Everybody does. I don't think anybody has not. So they understand there's stuff here sensitive. And I'm not talking about somebody being mean within the little group, but people know how it feels to be picked on for whatever reason. And I don't know if it was a super noisy meeting room, and I understand because we have a big linoleum floor and the scouts are in there and you can hardly hear anything. So I cannot imagine running it over here. If you were in a separate room with 2 adults and you have 4 kids, you could do that then, just to give them, because it's hard for them to focus. And, we don't want to have distractions. It's part of the rules, right? Is to not have distractions. So, yeah. Those are great. What, any other? Yeah. Oh, yeah. One somebody's son selected a counselor outside of their troop, and he's welcome with the other scout with the badge. Yeah, it is good to have scouts within the same troop work together. Great. Well, you guys have a wonderful next class. I'm here for, if you have questions, Wendell and I can hang for a little while. And yes, Laura? You're on mute. Oh, goodbye. Okay.
I was just saying thank you
Okay.
and
You're
bye.
welcome. Thanks to all of you for being a merit badge counselor. It's great. Yeah.
Is there another class? You said mentioned earlier there's another class for this, right?
There is not another class for this that I
Right.
know of, no. Now, I know sometimes we're doing different, what do you call it? It's district roundtables, or like I did it for Coyote. Are you in Silicon Valley, Monterey Bay?
Yes.
Yeah, I did it at mine in Coyote Creek, and I think, I forget who did it for Polaris, and different districts are running it during a, what do you call it, meeting, a roundtable. But
Mhm.
Also, this is being recorded and will be posted.
Okay, good.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you so much. I missed the meeting. I somehow thought it was 7, and here I am. The meeting is
Oh,
ending.
something I forgot to say too, we do have some hard copies of these things that if you want them, I'm gonna put them at the council office at the will call so people can pick them up if you want to, but all of this stuff. So Miss Maha, you can get this all online. If you just got here,
Yeah, I just got here.
Okay, if you go to the regular Boy Scouts of America, I'm going to show you where the content is, and then you can even find it yourself. So if you go to Boy Scouts of America and you go up in here and you go to, am I still screen sharing?
Yeah, you're still.
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah, I can
Okay,
see it.
good.
Yeah.
And you go into merit badges, you can scroll down and go to Citizenship and Society. The Scouts one
Mhm.
is where the requirements are, and you can tell because the second page has overview for Scouts. If you go to the counselor page, it'll, oop, there you go to counselor page. It'll take you one that looks identical, but it is not. It's the one for the counselor. Don't give the Scouts that one. Let them go the other way.
Okay, great.
If
Thank you
go
for
to-
sharing.
Yeah, if you go to Silicon Valley Monterey Bay and you type in SVMBC SVMBC, and then you go to the Citizenship in Society, and it'll take you over to, hit the return. It'll take you to search found this, then go to learn more,
Mhm.
and it'll take you over here. And now you can take the video. It'll tell you what you need to do here. Do your DEI training, it's required. That PowerPoint I went through is here. There's an orientation video and the counselor guidelines are there too. So all this
Perfect.
content is here.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the direction.
You betcha. Good. Other questions? Doug, are you okay? You're on mute.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
So
And-
when our district guy sent out an email saying that we want to re-register for merit badges this year, I knew this is merit badge was coming up, so I had offered to put my name in for this one because I knew it was few and far between. So I made sure I signed up for this class for I saw this on University of Scouting, so
Good.
I wanted to make sure I was. There's not very many. I'm in the Quicksilver district, and there's
Okay.
not very many people in Quicksilver that are counselors for this merit badge. So I want to be have that opportunity for my scouts.
Fantastic. And did you take the DEI volunteer training yet?
I wasn't aware of it, but I
Now you
will
know.
take it tomorrow.
Good. It's only 30 minutes.
Yes. So
Good.
not a problem.
Great. Jason, do you have questions, or Joseph? I'm not sure.
No, thanks.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're gonna end.
Okay, I'm gonna
So-
stop the recording.
Oh, yeah.